Good morning, and depending on where you are, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ken Waddell, and as publisher of Document Strategy Media, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, 3 Things You Don't Know About Document Automation. I'd also like at this time to extend a special thank you to our webinar sponsor, ExpertDoc and ExperLogix brand. Before we start today's presentation, I need to take just a moment to go over a couple of brief housekeeping items. First, you can submit questions at any time during today's presentation. Our speakers will be getting to as many of these questions as possible at the end. Simply submit the question in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And secondly and lastly, remember our webinars are archived for a full year. So you'll be able to view this again just by using your same registration link that you used to log in today. With that taken care of, I'd like to introduce today's speakers. We have Eric Batangan, Sales Executive at ExpertDoc, and Stefan Cloutier, Senior Sales Engineer at ExpertDoc. And with that, I'll hand it off to Eric.
Thank you, Ken. And thank you everyone on the call. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And I think today's session will be about 30 minutes in duration. And as Ken mentioned, my name is Eric, and joining me is my colleague Stefan. What we will cover today is how to create more efficiencies and productivity with document automation. What I will walk through is it's a few slides to explain what is document automation, how it helps, and reason to incorporate automation to your business. What are some common uses? 3 things you may not know about automation. And in the end, Stefan will walk through a quick demo to tie it all together. So what is document automation? Document automation by definition is the design of systems and workflows that assist in the creation of electronic documents. These include logic-based systems that use segments of pre-existing text and/or data to assemble a new document. I personally look at document automation in 2 ways. 1, how can I do my job faster and easier? And 2, have the confidence that the documents are correct each and every time. As Ken mentioned, my role is in sales. And what I love is that I can spend less time preparing contracts and quotes and spend more time with my partners and clients, doing the part of my job where I feel I bring the most value. Reasons to include automation. Well, when you leverage document automation technology, you will modernize your processes. You will reduce the number of clicks, limit the number of applications you need to open, and reduce the manual steps. Your company will adhere to approved business rules, promote standardization so that all documents comply with your brand guidelines, and ensure each document is using the latest and most compliant version. Now, documents are used at every stage in your customer's journey with your company. Here are some examples where you can improve your customer's experience with document automation. What each of these scenarios have in common, they all need a document template. Each template needs data, and something happens to that document once it's generated. And here's where we can discover and apply different ways to create automation. When thinking about your document template, a powerful dynamic template not only merges data into your document, it can include data from multiple sources, perform calculations, and include business rules and conditions to dynamically change based on the data that's coming in. Data capture is also an important piece. You're looking at ways to include additional information that can be collected in real time to combine with data from your other systems. This is useful if you want your customers to self-serve. A dynamic smart form is personalized and changes based on the responses that are entered, only exposing questions relevant to your client. Key thing here is that you can leverage the data for all your documents. So you no longer need to rekey data that is used in multiple documents. So automation can happen at a template level, automatically pulling in data from anywhere using the conditions to determine the output. When collecting data with a smart form, you could save time by letting your customers enter that data in self-serve, and then leverage the data to create all the documents needed without manual re-entry. And now the real magic happens with the automated workflows. Combining all the steps that happen before the document is created and steps needed after a document is created is how you can reduce all the manual steps, reduce all the clicking, reduce applications that are opened, and eliminate error-prone copy and pasting. Now I'll let Stefan take control and we'll flip to the demo part of the presentation.
Thank you, Eric. All right. So for this part of the demo, what we're going to do is we're going to simulate filling up a questionnaire for the insurance. So we're going to select our smart form, which will be insurance restaurant questionnaire. And this form could be either embedded in your website or it could be sent over by email to a customer through a web link. This form can contain multiple types of components, like you can have embedded multimedia, such as a corporate video in your form, multiple tabs. And if I go back into this tab here, and this is where you would start filling it, getting the data for filling it on the form. There we go. So I'm filling in this form. Data could be pre-populated, like I said, from your system, from your existing system, either your CRM or your own backend system. And I'm going to fill up this form with type of operation with entertainment. And we have different types of components, just a date pickers, so very easy. You could pick and select dates. We also have in the forms the possibility to add tables. So if you could add a lot of loss experience, if you keep adding, you'll be adding those into the form as you keep going. In my risk detail, you can have multiple different types of questions based on the type of questionnaire you want to submit. All these questions can be automatically created, or you could personalize the form in any way, shape, or form that you want. And the form could also be fully dynamic based on the answer provided. So let's say we answer some of these questions, and if I say yes, there's a fire extinguisher, the system will ask you what was the date of the last service. So this is answered because you have a fire extinguisher service. You can keep on entering, like you have maintenance contract, is it ULC approved? If you have a safe, it's going to ask you to describe the safe. So let me say, well, it's a metal safe. Total sales, my liquor sale, and so on. So you could keep entering all these square footage of the premises. So let's say 2,500 square feet. Seating would be 60 people. You serve buffet, yes or no? And you have all these questions, like you have live entertainment. If you say yes, it's going to ask you describe the entertainment. If you say no, the form will build itself according, conditionally based on the question and answer provided by the user. Sorry. And once I'm done, we're complete filling up the form. We have some checkbox as well, where you could say if you have your license been revoked, you could say yes or no. And you also have different types of questions you could do. So once you're done filling up the complete form, then we could switch to the next step. But before that, I'm going to show you one last thing in our last tab. The form will also allow you to attach local documents into the form, such as docx or PDF document or images, and these would become part of the generated document at the end if we attach documents. But just by clicking here, it will ask you to put in PDFs or docx into your document. So once you're done, we're going to click on next. And it's going to be generating the document. And then what we do, we configured it to send a copy over through DocuSign for a customer to sign off on the question that they filled in. So actually we're generating a document, sending over to DocuSign. And as soon as the customer signs up on it, we'll get an email from DocuSign. And you will see that once we go through DocuSign, we've generated a form for the insurance questionnaire based on all the answers provided from the form prior to that. And all these answers provided on the form can also be used within your application. So you could also get the data from there. It's data capture, so you can bring that back into either your CRM or your own backend system. So once we're done, we're going to click and sign. So we have direct integration with the 4 major e-signing providers. So that would be DocuSign, Adobe Sign, OneSpan Sign, and Certify. Once the customers sign off on it, we're going to click Finish. And this is it. So the next step that we've configured in our flow, as soon as we get the response back from DocuSign, we configured to send an email back to the person that asked or generated the quote, the application, saying that the document came back signed, and also a copy was sent over to our legal department saying the contract was signed. And this is a copy of the email that was sent with the attachment, the PDF that was signed, mentioning that this person signed the restaurant ABC, signed off their restaurant application. All right, for this part. Now, I'm just going to show you how this flow was configured. I'm going to go into the backend very shortly. This is how you would design your flow. This is a flow that's being designed, the flow that we just generated. So if you look, this is the step where we're going to send the form over to the user that's going to fill out the form. Once the form is being received back, we're going to be generating a document, and we will be using a template that was designed in SmartFlows, which is the insurance template, populating it with the data coming in from the form, which is our smart form, and dynamically giving it a name for the document, which will be the restaurant with Bristol application with the company name, which was entered back in the form. And it's going to generate a PDF. We could generate multiple types of documents like docx, PDF, HTML document, and you name it. And once this is done, then we've configured to send it over through DocuSign. So what we did is we're going to be sending the document over to DocuSign, and the flow will wait here until the document has been signed. Once the document has been signed, the next step that we've configured in our flow was to send an email to the person that in the office that is responsible for that account. And in this email, what we did is the subject of the email will be the company name, that the restaurant name, signed application. The template, the email is coming from a template as well. And we're going to attach the signed document into the email. Now, very simply, if you want, you could add an extra step or configure an extra step in your flow just by clicking on the plus at the bottom and click on the plus here. So everything is wizard driven. Everything is what you see is what you get. So you could build condition. You could call an external service. You could store it to SharePoint, and you could do all different kinds of steps that you want in your flow. So let's pretend that I want to save it in my SharePoint. So I'm going to go here, click SharePoint, add. And what document do we want to store in our SharePoint? Well, we want to store the signed document. So we're going to click here and link, and boom, that's it. We've configured to store over into SharePoint, and all we need to do is save our flow. And now the next time the flow will run, it will store a copy over into our SharePoint. Now, quickly to show you, we talk about templates. So I'm going to show you the template that we did for the restaurant application. So I'm just going to open up my Word document. For template designing, SmartFlow use Microsoft Word. So very easy. You could reuse existing Word document to become a template, and you don't need an extra training to learn a new tool how to design your template, because we use the industry standard of Microsoft Word. So you could redo with like your existing document, and just all you need to do now from then on is in your document here, you would need to map the fields in your template. On the right side, you will see all the fields coming in from your smart form, with the form that we've sent over to the customer. And all we need to do is either map those fields, and we can also build conditions. So you can have conditional thing in your document. Like in this case, I've got a small condition here. If the checkbox has been checked, I'm going to say yes. If it's not checked, I'm going to put no. But you could go to higher level of condition. So let's say this paragraph or this small text here would be conditionally for there in my document if my customer live at a certain area or certain state. So I'm going to say the condition is based on this 2 lines of text. And then second of all, I'm going to say, okay, what field in my data will do the condition for this paragraph to be displayed? And I'm going to say it's going to be displayed by the state of where my customer is from. And clicking on the condition, this will open up our condition wizard, which will say you want to build a condition on a state. And you could say, well, if my customer lives in New York, this paragraph will be visible. Otherwise, it's not going to be part of my document. And we've just built ourselves a condition. So there's no limitation on how many conditions you can build in a document. Same thing could apply to terms and conditions. So if you have different paragraphs of terms and condition to be displayed based on the location or type of items in a quote, let's say, so everything could be fully dynamic on the same template itself. So this is the condition. We also have looping. Looping would be to, let's say, in my case, for the claims, we could have multiple claims in one application. So we have one line here, and all it is to do is we would do a loop over all the claims that we'll enter on the form, and the table will grow automatically based on how many items there was. And there's other advanced option, but this is how the template is being generated.
Can I pause you for a second, Stefan?
Sure can.
Yeah, so while we're looking at the template designer here, template builder, so what Stefan touched on is, the different data sources that show up here on your right, the different conditions you can build, which, as he described, is low code, no code, WYSIWYG approach. And these are all parts of the solution that really brings in automation. So letting the data that you're pulling in dictate what the document will produce. So, reducing the steps where your business user has to know what to do depending on different state, for example, different conditions. You can let the template drive and use the data to generate the document. And Stefan, if you just minimize this and go back to the flows.
Yep.
Here's a great example of an easy approach to design a document process or to automate a flow. And you could kind of think about, what are the different steps that you're taking if you were to do this manually. So you're looking at, having a smart form to collect the information. Then you need to generate the document. Once that document is created, if you were to send it to DocuSign, without the integration to DocuSign, maybe you'd have to launch or log into the DocuSign portal, upload the PDF, define the different areas of the document where the signature needs to go, date and name perhaps, and then send that out for the e-signing ceremony. Wait for it to come back. Once you receive it, you want to bring it back into your flow. You'll have to save that locally, attach it to an email to send it to maybe a manager for approval or something like that. Then also take the PDF that you received from DocuSign and then upload it to SharePoint if you want to keep that in a repository. So we're looking at taking all those steps into 1 or 2 clicks instead of having to open Outlook, instead of having to open DocuSign, instead of having to open SharePoint. That's all being handled here by the Smart Flow.
Thanks, Eric.
So let me share my screen again. Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you.
So what I'm hoping that you saw in today's quick presentation is some things that can help spark some ideas around exploring documentation for your organization. Think about all the different documents that you create, which ones take a lot of time or have manual steps. For example, where you need to open other applications, do some copying, pasting from other systems. How can that all be brought into a single process? You could check out our website for more information. Feel free to email me to schedule a call for a more in-depth demo, but I'll send it back to Ken if there's any questions in the question box.
Yeah, actually, we've got 4 questions already, so let's get to these here. And Eric and Stefan, if it's okay, I'm not sure which one of you to ask the questions to, so I'll just let you 2 decide.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Question 1, what other systems can you connect to besides CRM?
Well, that'll be mine, Stefan. Well, we can connect to any system because we have a full REST API. So actually virtually anywhere, any data can come in. And as well, we can have as many as data coming in from multiple sources into one single template. So by leveraging our API, we can get data from all over, from any system.
Perfect, perfect. Second question here. Can I embed the web forms into emails or landing pages on my website?
Yep, this could be done in an email. It's going to be a link to a web form because our smart form are web-based. So you're going to provide your end user a link. By clicking on this link, it will open the smart form from a web page. It could be the web or smart form are responsive. So it could be from a cell phone, a tablet, or any web-based application. And as for embedding our form into a website, using an iframe, this could be embedded in any website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else you wanted to add, Eric? I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. I think we have customers doing it, all those types of scenarios that Stefan described. Okay. Even we have customers that display it on secure portals for their customers as well. So if they want to, for example, you expose an iframe in a secure portal where they could produce their own applications or their own quotes, for example, all done in a secure environment as well.
Okay, thank you. Third question here, what typical use cases do you see around the web forms or data capture functionality?
We've seen quite a few. A lot of them is for getting additional data or information. We've seen that in the banking world for loan applications, all the way to university application to be filled in. In some web sites, we have some group health benefit that are using our smart form to capture employees' information and providing them group health benefit, and as well as surveys that could be reused. And all the data entered in a form, in a smart form, could be reused or taken in and populating the system back again.
All right, thank you very much. This looks like question number 4 here. Are workflows set up in the ExpertDoc platform or in the CRM system?
Well, Actually, as we showed in the expert doc platform, this is where you design all the flow itself. So all the steps that you want as soon as the flow is executed. And there's no limitation on how many steps you put in a flow. So you could do multiple things in the scenario like I've shown before in the flow today. I've sent an email out to a person, but you could email out to a group, save to Salesforce, save to an FTP site. All this could be done within the same flow. It's all transparent to the user or to anybody that's generating it. So everything is done behind the scene and automated.
All right, that looks to be our last question. I'd like to thank you, Eric and Stefan. Thank you for your information. Thank you for the detailed answers. I'd also like to, again, thank our sponsor, Expert Doc, for making this webinar complimentary for everybody. And please remember, everyone, you can view this webinar again at any point during the next 12 months. That concludes our webinar for today. Thank you all for attending. Have a great week. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.